Well, welcome everybody, especially those of you that are joining on Facebook. If it's actually working on Facebook, who knows? Today was our Facebook outage. Fun, fun, fun. Um, so this is Mythbusting Meditation, and I've got some notes here that I'll be looking down at on my computer just to organize my thoughts. And those that are watching live, you're welcome to pop any questions in the chat. And if you're watching the recording, feel free to pop questions in the recording as well, and I will get back to it when I can get back to it. So just a brief introduction about me. I'm Rose Kress. I'm a long-term yoga practitioner from back in my teens. I've been teaching for 17 years. And meditation has been a part of that, but meditation has been a struggle for me during the course of my life. The one time it was not a struggle for me, surprise, surprise, was when I had a head injury. And it was actually very easy to just sit and do nothing and be in a meditative state for long periods of time. It was fantastic. But that's not where most of us are. Most of us, it can be a real struggle to meditate. And we hear all this really good stuff about it. And oh, it's so wonderful. And I'd love to try that. And then, you sit down and 30 seconds later, I hate this. I can't do this. I'm really bad at this. I'm failing at this. We've all been there. And those of you that have taken training courses with me through LifeForce Yoga know that I love it when we fail because failure means first attempt in learning. You cannot get anywhere if you don't fail. So if you've ever failed at meditation or anything else you're learning in life, I'm here to tell you that this is a very good thing, because just neurobiologically, the way our brains work, failure actually helps us to learn things better than if we get it on the first try. Failure helps us to learn it. It helps us to learn the ins and outs of what we're doing, and it helps us to teach other people, which is ultimately what we end up doing, is sharing the things that we have learned with other people. So failure is a good thing. So if you have failed in meditation, you are so in the right place. So the first myth I would like to bust for you about meditation is how you have to sit, which is, we see meditation, oh, I have to sit cross-legged. No, you don't have to sit cross-legged. Let's throw that myth right out the door. Any body position is a position for meditation. One of the famous texts around meditation is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and there's a lot in there about meditation. The piece I'm going to pick out is the piece about asana, which is traditionally translated as a seat for meditation, how you position your body for meditation. The first sutra given about asana, or your seat, is Sthira Sukham Asanam, which my teacher, Ramajoti Vernon, always taught us meant take any position and become comfortable. Not take any comfortable position, not sit down with your legs crossed or stand on your head. Take any position and become comfortable there. Not necessarily any comfortable position, because there is a sense of progressing. But in your seated position right now, I'd like to invite you to maybe soften your eyes and check in with your physical position. And just notice what you're noticing about this position. Do your hips feel comfortable? Do they feel even? If not, what happens if you adjust your hips? What about your knees? Maybe you sat down like, oh, I gotta sit cross-legged. This is about meditation, I gotta sit cross-legged. So maybe you sat down and you're sitting cross-legged. How do your knees feel? How do your feet feel? And then how can you adjust that? If you're sitting in a chair, how does your back feel? Do you feel like maybe you're slouching? When you take a breath in, is it hard to take a breath in? Maybe that means just adjusting and sticking a pillow behind you. Or maybe as you take a moment to check in with yourself, you're like, oh man, I've had it with this day. I'm really tired. What happens if you shift your position so that you're lying down on the floor? You don't have to be seated. You can lie down on the floor. You can lie down on your side. My preferred method of sitting for me is I actually sit cross-legged, A, because I'm comfortable sitting that way, and B, sitting in a chair feels really uncomfortable on my back. I've got back injury, so it's actually a little easier for me to sit in a position where my legs aren't in front of me. And in the morning, when I sit for my meditation, I'm leaned up against a bed and I have a big cushion behind my back so that it props my spine up so that I don't have to worry about keeping my back up. And I always have a blanket over my legs because it always feels better to have my legs supported by a blanket. It's tucked under the edges. It's nice and cozy. It's nice and fuzzy. So what's the seat for meditation? Any seat you want. Any body position you want. You may have heard of walking meditation. So walking meditation counts. So that would be the next one. Oh, well, to meditate, I have to be still. Nope, you don't. Walking meditation, swimming meditation, floating meditation, running meditation, painting meditation. Meditation is really about the act of concentration into absorption. Absorption in what you're doing. Be it sitting, running, singing, chanting. So meditation is this dynamic process in our lives. And just like our brains are primed for danger and primed to sense potential threats, maybe even where there are none. There's a lot of conversation about that in terms of the stress response. Oh, your brain is primed to see danger where there is no danger. This is true. What is also true is that your brain is primed for these meditative states. These times when we become so absorbed and focused that many things begin to fall away. And my teacher Rama, who taught yoga since she'd been doing yoga since she was in her teens, so more than half a century of yoga practice, she would often say things like, oh, and dear, what does your husband do? Oh, he's a house painter. What a lovely yoga practice he has. Because painting a house, there's a lot of focus and concentration that goes into that. So meditation not only does it not have to be still, it can be dynamic. And think about those moments when you've been transported into a state of clarity, of feeling present, of feeling at home here in your body or here on this planet. And because we all are primed for this, we all have our different doorways into this. So this is yet another myth. Oh, I have to sit down and I have to focus on this one thing, or I have to be still, whatever that is. Oh, I have to chant certain words or what have you. Well, yeah, that's a valid pathway into meditation for somebody. I love to chant. And I love chanting Om the way my teacher taught me, and that just pops me into an otherworldly state because of the connection that I have with it. But that doesn't work for everybody. So some of us, and I'm studying meditation further with the teacher, and they call it natural doorways. So we all have natural pathways in. What about music? Do you have that favorite song or that piece of music that you put on and you just disappear into it, and it just kind of absorbs the space around you. And you finish it and you're like, yeah, I gotta listen to that again. Or you're out on a kayak and you just hit that rhythm, and then you just stay with that rhythm. Or you're gardening, or you could start naming the things that you love, and those are doorways into meditation. Oh, watching the sunset, watching the sunrise. How about clouds? Or my husband loves to watch the hummingbirds in the morning, and he sits outside and watches the hummingbirds for half an hour, 45 minutes sometimes. He just sits out there watching. So nature, the stars at night, all of these are natural pathways into that meditative state. And so when we're meditating, the other, this is the big one. This is the number one reason that people tell me that they don't meditate. Well, I can't get my mind to turn off, so it doesn't help. Your brain is not going to stop. And that is so not the point of meditation. Now, one of the things that really, that inspired me to do this is I'm doing a course with Lauren Roach and Camille Maureen. They've written this beautiful book together, Meditation Secrets for Women. And that is that the texts that we read about meditation, and they come, we're talking about meditation from the East, because that's the, India, that's the tradition that I'm steeped in. But meditation it's not unique to Eastern society. It's found in many different societies, many different cultures around the world, not societies, cultures. But the texts that we have about meditation proper are Buddhist texts and yogic texts. And these are sacred texts that are written for people that are in ashrams, that have removed themselves from society. Now, if you've ever been to an ashram, and it's been a couple of years since, COVID, but there's one I love going to. I get down there. There's a bell that wakes me up in the morning that calls me to sit for meditation. There's another bell that says it's time for yoga. There's another bell that says, hey, we're eating now. Another bell that says it's time for class. Another bell that says it's time for more yoga. Another bell that says it's time for dinner. And another bell that says it's time for meditation and all of that. So literally, my food is taken care of. I don't even have to check my watch to see what time it is, because somebody's ringing a bell to tell me where I need to be, and I can kind of look up at the sky and, okay, what's this time of day? Or just shuffle off and follow a crowd, because ashrams are these, there's a schedule and a structure to it. And then you can just let yourself go in that structure. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You're at an ashram. There's no bills to pay, because those are all you're there for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. But if you become a renunciate, you're not paying bills. You're not handling money, because that's not how that works in that tradition. Somebody else is feeding you and telling you when to eat. You might have to worry about washing your clothes. You make your bed. You have a pallet for a bed and maybe a shelf with some books. You don't have anything to worry about. Your family is somewhere else. They come to visit you when they come to visit you. It's completely for you to focus on that process. Now, how many of us are living in an ashram right now? If you're here, you're not living in an ashram. We're not. We are what's called householders. So those texts are written for people that are becoming renunciates or considering that path. The rest of us are householders. We have to worry about food, bills, travel, other people, creatures, critters. We've got to clean stuff. Your list for your day is quite large, which means part of your meditation practice is getting your mind into a state where you can focus and organize your energy for your day. So there's this principle of rehearsing that happens during meditation. So you sit down, you find your doorway in, and you're kind of in this really present state. It's a little calmer, more focused. You're like, yeah. And all of a sudden your mind goes, hey, let's get anxious about this doctor's appointment we have today. We could say, no, I can't do that right now. I'm meditating, which actually makes that, makes us more anxious when we shun our thoughts about that. Or we can go, okay, doctor's appointment. From this calm and focused place, I'm going to rehearse this doctor's appointment where they're going to draw blood today. And it's the needle that makes me anxious. So it's this rehearsal state that we can slide into. And in meditation, it's okay to rehearse for your day. What you will find is there's a rhythm. Oh, I'm going to welcome this thought that I'm having about, having a blood draw at my doctor's appointment today. Okay, I'm going to rehearse it. I'm going to be calm. And then all of a sudden the thought subsides and you're back in that present state. And then, oh, hey, another thing comes up about, oh, I'm having company for dinner tonight. And so then we rehearse a little bit of our energies about that. And then that subsides. So there's this flow of energy happening. Just like there's a flow of energy happening during your day, right? Sometimes you're interacting with people, sometimes not. I know some of you are professionals, and sometimes your moment of the lull in the day is going to the bathroom at work. Maybe you working, I know I have friends that work like long shifts, nurses, and they're taking care of people. And, where's your break when you're in a situation like that? Sitting on the toilet at work for 5 minutes. Hey, that counts as a lull. So it's this moment where we're doing some deeper repairing. So when things arise in meditation, welcome them. They are a part of you, and they are all, if we follow those thoughts and really welcome them, we can sometimes repair whatever anxiety we're having. Oh, I'm nervous about the blood draw. Well, I'm not really nervous about the blood draw. I'm nervous that it's going to hurt. That's why I'm nervous about a blood draw. And then I think about it. I'm like, did the last blood draw hurt? No, it didn't hurt. And then all of a sudden, any anxiety for me about it goes away. I did have a bad blood draw once, so I know they happen. I know it happens. But so it's this opportunity to really encounter, well, anxiety is here. Well, anxiety, what's beneath you? See, we can have these conversations with ourselves in a space where it's just us. And yes, this is sometimes why we don't go into meditation, right? Because the moment I create a space of self-acceptance or silence in my life, the things that I have been trying not to feel suddenly arise and they feel overwhelming. A lot of the times those things can feel overwhelming is because we haven't listened to them before. So if you find yourself in that place where anytime you come to stillness, you get overwhelmed by what's present, then that's a time to reach out, or that's a time to really lean into your natural doorway into those states of focus, which might be something like, well, when I turn up the music really loud, everything gets drowned out, or when I'm moving, right? Like some people rock. It's a self-soothing action. So these are the things you can kind of pull in. If you still feel overwhelmed, that's when you reach out to somebody, a meditation teacher, for example, and say, hey, I need a little help with this because this is what's going on. Every time I do this, this happens. And it's okay to do that. Another myth I have too much to do. I don't have any time for meditation. Who resonates with that? Well, after my teacher passed away last November, we had, we had a conversation after she had passed, because I'm one of those people that I see dead people, right? So we had a conversation, and she said, Rose, it's time to dedicate yourself to a meditation practice. Prior to that, I hadn't been dedicated to it. I practiced it, but I hadn't dedicated myself to it. And so she's my teacher, and I dedicated myself. The only way for that to work in my life, to meditate, is that I have to get up at 5:50 in the morning, and I get up and I sit down and I meditate. I'm up to 25 minutes every morning now, because I don't have time. I didn't have time during the day, and it's just only time it works for me is first thing in the morning. And I just decided I'm going to carve out 25 minutes. I did not start with 25 minutes, just so you know. I am up to 25 minutes. It was 10 minutes in the beginning. I'm now up to 25 minutes. And sometimes I'll sit in the evening before I go to bed. And sometimes it just helps me to relax to go to bed. And I meditate several other times during the day. When I wake up in the middle of the night and pee and then I can't go back to sleep, I have a little mantra that I say, and I just repeat it over and over and over in my head, and I get lost in that mantra a lot. And then, I wake up 4 hours later when the alarm goes off and go, oh, wow, I fell asleep in that meditative state. So there is time in the day for it. And sometimes it's looking at, what am I going to let go of? Maybe I'll scroll Facebook or TikTok or whatever we're scrolling for 10 minutes less. Or maybe I'll try doing it first thing in the morning. Why do I do it first thing in the morning? Because if I don't do it first thing in the morning, I'm not going to break away from whatever else I'm doing during the rest of the day to stop and meditate. I've just come home from work. As much as I have tried to come home from work, set things down, and go sit and meditate and do a little yoga, it does not work, because my energy is elsewhere in my life. So I don't. First thing in the morning, what I have found after doing the first thing in the morning, and research and anecdote has borne this out, is that when practices like that are done first thing in the morning, you actually have more energy during the rest of the day. And it may be what I mentioned before, is that process of rehearsing my day, which I don't actually go over my day in my head, but that process of rehearsing is actually helping me to organize my energies for the rest of the day. I work in a loud building. I work in a pool, so that it's loud. And I have to really project my voice, and so things are loud. When I come home, I want quiet. Meditation practice actually helps to prepare, fortify, and shore up my energies, so that as I go into a loud situation, I don't feel overwhelmed by what I would define as an assault of noise on my sense of hearing. Then I'm around people nonstop from when I leave until when I get home. I'm an introvert at heart, so I need to come home and be by myself to really soothe. And so that time spent first thing in the morning in that self-soothing state of a meditation practice, where I'm sitting, where I'm chanting, I'm repeating a mantra, where I'm suddenly thinking about my day, I'm rehearsing my day, I'm reviewing maybe what happened yesterday, or I'm reviewing a dream, or I'm writing, or what often happens is I start to paint. Like I see something and I start to paint in my mind. That's what's happening during the meditation. I'm not just sitting there and my mind is still. We've already debunked that myth that stillness happens. No, all of this stuff is happening. But again, it's fortifying energies so that the rest of the day, I've got the energies. I know where my body innately knows how it needs to show up. My energies are prepared for what's going to come during the day because I've given myself that preparation time. Another myth that we have, I need training to meditate. And hopefully I've already debunked that myth for you, because you don't need any training, because your brain already does it for you. No questions in the chat so far, but if you have a question, another question, or maybe a hurdle that you have experienced with meditation, you are welcome to pop that in the chat. What I'd like to do now is just invite you to either think about or even write, if you've got a notebook and you want to write it down or draw it, whatever, but 3 things that you love doing. Just writing down, naming out loud 3 things that you love to do. If you want those things to be witnessed by others, you can put them in the chat and I will say them out loud. And then a question that you may or may not have really ever thought about this before, but what are you doing when you feel most at home? And that might lead you to another question, the question of, what does it feel like when I am at home in myself? What does it feel like when I'm at home in myself? And boy, that's a loaded question, right? So maybe think about, and what does home feel like? So what does that mean to be at home in yourself? We might speak about it as feeling comfortable, feeling secure. We might speak about that as feeling grounded, at ease, peaceful, present. It could be a sense of safety. So think about those things. Then those are concepts, some feelings woven in there. How does the body feel when you feel at home? Maybe feeling it, for those of you that struggle with chronic pain or chronic illness, feeling at home in the body can be really well, I'm not at home in my body. And I don't want to be at home in my body because my body's painful. Or we can be, that same feeling can happen when we have an active trauma history. Right? Oh, no. I don't want to be in this body. This body is not a fun place to be. Okay. So what does it feel like to feel present then? To be like right here, right now. And honestly, that's all meditation is. It's just being right here in this moment. Where we're here, we're not reacting. 3 things I like to do: bushwalking, watching inspiring movies, being with my cat. So being with a cat. I've had cats before. Isn't it so nice to have a cat sitting on your tummy or on your chest and they're purring and you just kind of get in that moment? Or for dog people, where you're snuggled up to a dog and the dog is breathing and you're just present with each other. Yeah. So that sense of coming to a state of presence or being at home in this moment. Oh, another one. I love dancing, walking barefoot in the grass, and laughing. Yeah. So these are doorways into meditation, doorways into being present here and now, to being more in our bodies. And again, if that doesn't work for you as language, then feel free to replace being at home in my body with being present here and now. Now, for those of you that shared, and those of you that didn't, you can answer this question for yourself. When you're in that, doing that thing that you love, that just brings you to that state of exquisite focus, what happens with your breathing? What happens physically? Like you're standing on the sand at the beach, or you walk out on the beach and you just have that moment of feels full and connected. Yeah. This is that meditative state. And if we allow ourselves to really go with it and go deeper into it, we become fuller. We become more connected. And we're in that state of practicing meditation. So yeah, eyes can be open for meditation. There's another myth I didn't even get to. Eyes open. Eyes are allowed to be open in meditation. And some schools, they have you practice with your eyes open. In other schools, they have you practice with your eyes closed. It makes no difference. Being with nature, creative group dancing, participating in music. Oh yeah, being a musician and playing music, boy, that takes an intense amount of focus, an intense amount of presence. I love the little bit of meditation I get when I'm teaching a class, a yoga class, because it takes an incredible amount of focus and presence to remember what I did 5 poses ago so we can do it on the second side. And to remember, did we do the left foot or the right foot? What foot did we move last so I can give the directions? Drawing, painting, bicycling, baking, yeah. Wait, did I put the salt in or not? Okay, so anytime those errant thoughts come in, they can become pull us out of our practice. And in one meditation thing I did many, many years ago in Taiwan, where it was really about the tradition of Buddhist practice of meditation and focus, anytime we were anywhere, we would have to walk in lines everywhere. And the teacher would say to us, one of the teachers would say, "Where is your practice? Where is your practice?" So that, just because we were walking to breakfast, where is your practice? Or we were walking to the bus, where is your practice? Or we were sitting on the bus to do a cultural tour of Taiwan, where is your practice? It's this continual invitation into practice. So that might be a question you ask yourself. Where's my practice? Where's my practice right now? I've got 5 minutes. Where's my practice? I've got 2 minutes. Where's my practice of absorption? What doorway, what pathway will I follow into absorption with the now? One of my favorite ways, one of my favorite pathways is meditation, is mantra meditation. So I've already mentioned Om, but prayer is a mantra. And it's essentially this cultivation of an attitude and focusing on that cultivation of the attitude by repeating it mentally over and over and over and over and over again in my mind. I just got asked a question today in some of my personal studies from another teacher, Elena Brower, and the question this morning was, what would you like your experience to be in this moment? What would you like your experience to be in this moment? And whatever it is. The thing that pops up, the two things that pop up for me right now, curiosity and connection. So you can write that down. What would I like to experience in this moment? And then as I connect with myself, placing my hand on my heart, which you can also do, is place a hand on your heart, whatever hand. And your simple mantra, my simple mantra in this moment, curiosity, connection. Curiosity, I'm just repeating the words in my own mind as I rest my hand on my heart. Curiosity, connection. Oh, the words might shift. Here comes the heart stepping up into it. So now I heartfelt connection as I see faces on the screen with softer faces with hands on heart. Now I'm like, what do I want my experience to be in this moment? Heartfelt connection. Ease. And then you could ask yourself this question 5 minutes from now. And it would be different. So whatever answer is arising for you, and again, let it change. Let it change. Or stay with whatever that one word, those two words are. And as you repeat that word, notice what feelings arise in your body around that word. Like, oh, I want my experience to be connection. And then the mind might say, well, you're not connected. So maybe the feeling there is a deep longing to feel that connection. And as you repeat that word to yourself, begin to notice what's happening within your breath. Maybe you're taking bigger, deeper breaths. Maybe the breath has become silent. Maybe you start to find yourself into a rocking, swaying movement, that there's suddenly a rhythm happening in the body. If you've been still for a while, as you're connecting with this experience, oh, maybe you want to feel more at ease, and the body has felt constricted because you've been still. So movement starts to take place. Let it happen. There may be moments of big breaths and then moments of small breaths. There may be moments of tears and there may be moments of laughter. And we welcome everything that's rising and falling within our experience. And so before we go any further, before we just drop everything and, okay, I'm done, I'd like to share a gift with you that has been given to me, which is this integration period. It's the slow movement out of what we just experienced. So rather than just, if the eyes were closed, rather than popping them open and shifting into, wide awake activity, stay with where you are for a moment, but start to maybe listen to some sounds that are taking place in the room, outside the room, maybe even outside the building you're in. You can start to bring some other movements in. Reflecting as well upon whatever happened for you there. Was it easy? Did you have moments of where challenges arose? Did you feel connected for a moment to what you wanted to experience in this moment? How's your mood right now? How's your energy? And then if the eyes are closed, just opening them enough to look down at the floor so you can start to blink them open. Maybe taking some bigger movements and some stretches. And then when you're ready, let yourself come out of that. So I kind of tricked you because we did about 5 minutes of meditation. I used a question, a doorway into it. So for those of you that want to share, was that easy? Was that hard? Did you find yourself like, oh, yeah, this is what I want to experience, and then diving into it and experiencing something? Do you notice a shift in energy? And it's totally normal to feel more tired after something. Heather, that was easy. Yeah, that was easy, right? We didn't have to turn everything off, put on special clothes, sit cross-legged on a mountaintop. We could just pause. What do I want to feel right now? Yeah, it can be so simple like that. So simple. And so my first offering, not my first offering, but an offering to you, a suggestion, if you will, is try that for 5 minutes. Just ask yourself that question. What do I want to experience in this moment? So Kate says she was taking notes and then shifted into the practice as she paused and placed her hand over her heart, felt immense gratitude. Yeah. So for some of us, just this physical contact of hand on the heart was a doorway into a bigger pause. So if it helps, you can think of meditation as a pause. Just the pause button. I'm just going to pause right now. Excellent. I'm going to pause again and a little bit longer this time. You know what I think? I'm going to pause for a little bit longer this time. So we can start short with just 5. Let me just pause every morning for 5 minutes. Some of us are able to wake up in the morning and we can pause in bed. Right? Aging, this has always been me in my entire life, is I wake up and I have to pee. So there's never been, I don't know who these people are that wake up in the morning, kind of roll over and just kind of hang out for a minute. I have supreme envy over those people, but some people apparently wake up in the morning and they don't have to pee first thing. Maybe they got up in the middle of the night and that's why they don't have to pee first thing in the morning, but if that works for you, you can have that pause. And who am I to say, hey, sitting on the toilet, you could pause there. That's a perfect place to just take a pause, a 5-minute pause, especially those of you that have kids where, the bathroom is the only place where you can be undisturbed. But even kids, furry kids, right? The cat, what is going on in there? Hey, hey, what are you doing in there? I need to come in there. Or my dog always used to check. What are you doing? Hey, what's going on in there? You need me to watch? You need to watch out and make sure you're safe. So, those little pauses, those 5-minute pauses. If anybody has any questions or wants to unmute, you're welcome to. I've just adjusted things so you can do that. And to ask away. I do want to share before we do that. One of my reasons for doing this was because I felt so full of the goodness of meditation that I had to share it, because that's how I work in life. But also because I'm going to be leading a Monday around a little bit later, starting next week. I'll start at 5 because that seems to be a time that really works for me and for folks. But a meditation class on Mondays at 5 where I'll be leading you through all kinds of meditations. Sometimes we'll do movement meditation. Sometimes I'll read a script to you, and so we'll be experiencing all kinds of meditation. We'll do a format of like introduction and then practice, which will be, the whole, I'm going to set aside an hour for it, but also so that we have that time during that class setting to have conversations afterwards where we can talk to each other about our experiences, because that's an important part of meditation, is that kind of connection and community. So I'll send that information out about that meditation class, and how you sign up and all of that. And there was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. It's all right. It's okay. So I don't see questions over chat, but you can just unmute yourself if you have one, or if you have a comment about your experience.
Yes,
Hi.
hi. This was wonderful. I just love it. And I'm really excited for you to be doing that class, because I do find I can get into meditation pretty well, or what feels like a nice meditation, but I don't do it very often, and I do it so well when someone's leading me. And so, yes, this was great, and I look forward to doing more of it too.
Oh, good.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it's oftentimes a lot easier when somebody leads you through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like anything else with the yoga practice, or Tai Chi or Qigong. There's this period of where you're really learning the process and you're learning the practice. So it helps to have somebody tell you what to do and
Mm-hmm.
guide you, because there's also that added holding your attention,
Mm-hmm.
anchoring your attention on something. And then after a time, we get to a place where we don't need that assist.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say after 17, or no, that's 17 years of teaching. I can say after, 27 years of practicing yoga, whatever it is. 27 years. My gosh, that feels like a really long time. Wait, I'm not even 27 years old yet. That's how that feels. I am more than 27. But it's nice to go to a class and just have somebody to tell me what to do with my body and not have to think about it. And not have to put, to just be and feel and to be guided through something. And then, a lot of times I end up doing variations because I want to experiment and play with the variations. But even just someone talking to me and guiding me, and I might not be doing what they're doing, it's just that it's like a collective evolutionary experience where when we come together, 10 minds focused on something actually helps you focus better on something than one mind alone. It's an interesting phenomenon in a group of people where if everybody is dedicated, you can have a really deep experience. Because I have meditated in groups of hundreds of people before, and you can have an experience where you go so deep because the people around you go so deep, And you can have an experience where somebody's mind is really active and you can hear that activity and it pushes into your mind as well. So you can have both experiences. But yeah, the collective, the community, Sangha, we call it, which is this kind of coming together, a sacred coming together, is important for that growth. So yeah, thanks, Mel. Anybody else? Questions, comments on the recording, and then I'll turn it off in a moment. Or you can always type it in as well. You don't have to come on camera and say it if you don't want to. Okay. So I am going to end. The class will start next Monday, and it will be likely at 5 o'clock Pacific time, which is 8 o'clock Eastern time, and I don't know in any other time zones what that will be. It's hard enough for me to keep track. I have to have time zones on my phone. You're welcome, Kate. And again, I'll send an email out about it and I'll post it on Facebook, and so you can sign up for it. And I'll probably do it the same way I do my yoga class, which is like a suggested donation. And so some people give more, and some people need to give less, and I'm okay with that. My overhead is pretty darn low, so my overhead is essentially my time. So I'm going to stop the live stream on Facebook so we don't get recording there. And I'm going to stop the recording here.